Good morning, everybody. Today is January 6th, 2026, and it is 8:27 a.m. in the morning. I couldn't remember, I forgot just that fast. Today's video is for day 491, and also my second walk is going to be 492. Let's go ahead and get started with our walk and talk for today. Okay, so I decided to do, I guess, a branch off or a continuation of yesterday. And I thought this would be a really good topic to, I guess, kind of finalize yesterday. So if you don't know, yesterday's walk and talk was about what is it like to work from home with no set schedule and no boss, manager, whatever word you would use, supervisor, and also no set rules for an office setup. So I thought that I would continue today with what is it like to have no coworkers. Okay, that actually should be, oh nope, I was right, one more. Okay, let's move this over so I can see the speed really quick. Okay, so that's 1.3. I really want to push it up to 2.5, but I'm a little nervous to do that, so I'll just stick with 2.4 for today. Especially since I feel like there's something either in my shoe or kind of under it. I think it's time for me to look at the bottom to see if I need to replace these shoes. So I actually have 3 different pair, and for one of the pair, I'm hoping I didn't mix them up because I decided to make these out of all 3 my main treadmill shoes because out of the 3 they have the most padding, which still isn't a lot, which is good because I learned up here very quickly that too much padding in a shoe was not good. It would make me be off balance when I was walking. A little bit more. For some reason, say my right leg is just not wanting to move. I can feel like a slight pain like in my knee. So not sure what that's all about. We have one more. We're 2.3. I almost accidentally turned it up to 2.5. Like I said, it is what I wanted though. But we're at 2.4 and we're at 4 minutes. Okay, so the first part of the topic for today could probably take up a whole video by itself. But I thought that I would just talk about it, get it out of the way, and just in case you're wondering, no, this is not one of my angry walk and talks, which I have some of. It's not very often that I do them, but I do have a couple where I put that in the title so that you guys knew in advance that I was just going to be like venting up here. So it's going to seem like venting, maybe, possibly, fair warning, but it's not, because it all goes to, like I said, what it's like to have no coworkers. I love it. I mean, I could just say that and end it there, but we have a little ways to go. So yeah, the favoritism thing. Okay, so I'll give 2 examples. And if you used to work with me and you know where I'm talking about, I kind of can't help it. Those are the 2 places where, and I'm not going to say the 2 places, but where I experienced it the most, of seeing other people get it. And then it was annoying. It was really irritating, because at the end of the day, it was like, look, I'm not looking for the favoritism. I just want my breaks on time, if possible. So it would be stuff like, if a girl was like really pretty, then she wouldn't have to do as much work. And one day I realized, which I stated to this person after talking to them, that they understood more than what they let on. And so at that point, I remember telling her, I can't, blame you. It's actually kind of funny. And she knew that I thought she was pretty. She was very, very pretty. And I told her, I said, it's just kind of funny to watch. I mean, at first, it was annoying, because I used to think there's no way she doesn't understand at least some of this stuff. And you had to shadow the new people. But after talking to her, it was just kind of like an inside joke with us. It made us laugh. So there would be people that could stay on break forever. And we had a thing where you might be the person that's supposed to give the breaks that day. And the next thing you know, you're sitting where this other person is supposed to be sitting. And of course, unless and sometimes they would even be made to go do the breaks, so everyone else wouldn't get their breaks either. So I would have to say, some of the favoritism that I saw, obviously I wasn't the only coworker that experienced seeing other people get it. And I was kind of thinking out loud before I came out here. And I think I kind of talk about it so much in my house that now that I'm recording, I kind of don't feel the need to go over the rest of it, because I have more on my list. But I will say, at my other job, because at one point I had 2, and I had more than that, but 2 of them took up the majority of my time. And it was something similar of a rule. It wasn't really, I don't think, in the employee handbook. It was just that, there's a dress code. But I did notice that, and maybe some schools were just more lenient than others, but some people could have their hair dyed, even if it was like usually it was a pastel color, but it would be like all their hair. And I kind of knew that we weren't really supposed to do that. And so I remember I used to wear wigs and have my mom braid my hair down underneath with braid hair. And I remember I walked past a principal one day, and he was like, "Oh, I love your hair." And I was like, "Thank you." And it was black at the top, and it had purple and blue underneath. And so I was like, okay, so this is how far I can go and not have anyone saying anything later or making a complaint to the district later, where I used to live. But it was just kind of noticeable. Other people, that could have been their real hair. or the color could have been at the top, because the blue was pretty bright, and so was the purple. Was it the purple or hot pink, now I think about it? And no one would have said anything. So, yeah. And I remember one time, it was like at the end of the school year, and I've told the story before, but it's been so long, I'll tell the last part of it again. Literally, there was only like a day or two left for school, and you know how sound carries, right? So I could hear other teachers talking, and that's not exactly my profession of exactly what I was, but very similar. And they were far. When I'm sitting there with the students on a recess or one of their activities or something like that, because like I said, it was almost the last day of school, and I can hear, is she supposed to do that? Is she supposed to have that? Some of my braids were yellow, but it was really pretty. I had this whole banana braid, Ghana braids, whatever you call them, style going on with a bun. And the other colors were brown, a platinum. I don't think I had any black hair in there except for my own natural hair color. And so I was sitting there thinking, really? Like that's all you have to do is to stand there and to talk about my hair? And I thought, whatever. If the principal or someone that can say something to me has to say anything, then obviously it's not a problem. So I have to admit there, I didn't see anybody probably with it as unique hairstyles I had, but still. It was just like, can't you just enjoy the fact that we're not having to be inside today? And the fact that school literally is over in like a couple of days. But yeah, and the other one, like I said, the favoritism I saw other people get could be a whole nother video. Truly, truly, just irritating and unnecessary. When you do a job well, or let's just say if you didn't, when you know, your treatment will be different. 11:55. I should have saved my thoughts for when I came out here, but yeah, it would just be, like I said, you're supposed to be giving someone a break. You look back, they're back in the break room having ice cream. Been on break for almost 2 hours. And you're wondering, like I said, how did someone else get their breaks if you didn't go around and give them that day? So there was more. There were certain people that could come in, they could be hungover, and they could say that they weren't feeling well. Mind you, it's known that they partied the night before. Not saying they should be made to stay at work. However, knowing that if it had been me or someone else, we would have had to stay. And I have a similar story, except for I wasn't hungover. Watching that person being able to go home after only being at work for an hour, which put all of us in a bind because only 2 people came in every hour, was frustrating. Especially if you knew that the person that let them go home was out partying with them. And then another thing was they had Mardi Gras Day and they decided to have jambalaya. Well, I'm highly allergic to seafood, you guys know that. But at the time, I did not know that even though I had the lowest reaction to it, or so I thought, shrimp is my highest seafood allergy. I know that now. And so they made it with shrimp. And you know how the oils like rise to the top and stuff like that? And even when you open the package, I mean, different foods have oils or oils and pollen, things like that. So if you're ever wondering how someone can react to food and not eat it, that's why. Okay, that's, well, some of the reasons why. It's kind of, think of grass. No one has to eat grass to have a reaction. Peanuts, it's kind of odd that people know with peanuts that people don't have to eat them. They can just be around them. But then when it's other foods, all of a sudden all that understanding goes like out the window. So I told them if I had known that they were gonna have jambalaya for 2 days in a row, I would have asked someone to switch. And so I kept telling them, I'm highly allergic to seafood. I really need to go. I mean, you could smell it everywhere. And so they waited, and they waited, and they waited. And by the time I was able to go home, not even a day or two later, I told one of my siblings that used to live with me, I'm gonna go to the hospital. And she asked why. And I said, because I have pneumonia. And she was like, how do you know? I said, because I have all the symptoms. And so I went. I had walking pneumonia. At that time, I didn't know that there was more than one type. And it's highly contagious. And I don't think you can say this word on a YouTube video, so I'll spell it. It's D-E-A-D-L-Y. So I thought, I don't know if it's the worst one, but of course I would end up with one that is severe. And so there was no sick time at this job, so I had to use my vacation, and I only had 2 weeks. And after that, I was willing to be off of work without pay because I knew how highly contagious it was. I was already worried about the fact that my sibling lived with me, and what if she got it? But despite that fact that I could have done that, of course I had a doctor's note, and still no, I had to go back after the 2 weeks. And on the day of, I remember it was a weekend, I was called and asked if I could come in early. And I already had to be to work at like 8 o'clock. And I was called at about 6. And I was so sick. I had it for about 6 weeks. So that's about, what, a month and a half? So yeah, for a whole month, I went to work, trying to finish out whatever medication I had. They had given me an inhaler, and trying the vitamin C cough drops. I was trying whatever I could to get this to go away. And I got to work, and of course, no one was there. Like, there were no customers. And I was thinking, okay, so who am I relieving here? And there was only like one section open. When I say section, I mean table. Okay, I'll just say that. And so, like, the whole place was empty. And even the other workers that would sit there with you, there were none there either. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And I thought, no, you work in the weekends in the morning. You know how slow it is sometimes. And I thought that I could have just came in at 8. Because of course 8 came and went, and still no customers. And then I was one of those people where if I was out for even one day, I would get told to bring a doctor's note. And the rule was you had to miss 3 days or more to be required to give a doctor's note. And I think one of the employees, they knew how some of us got treated there. And I said, but I was only absent for a day. They said, no, trust me, go get a doctor's note. And so that became a habit. I would actually get a doctor's note knowing that I probably was gonna feel better to go back to work literally like the next day or the day after. So most of the time, I was not out for more than a day, maybe 2, if that, and it was not common. Some people watching this video used to work with me and be like, no, you were out a lot. No, I wasn't. Let's keep the memory correct. So yeah, and I thought, okay, if you are coughing, sneezing, whatever it is, you kind of already know what to take. You probably already have the medicine there. Having to waste the money to go get a doctor's note when it wasn't required for one day of absence was really annoying. So when I say other people got favoritism, oh, they did. I would get in trouble for stuff that other people wouldn't even get written up for. So I definitely do not miss that. Okay, we're at 19 minutes. Okay, another thing is not having to pick up someone else's slack. Whether they know what they're doing or not, it's really frustrating when you're doing your job and someone else's. And like I said, it's even worse. I know it's not proper English, it would just be worse. So it's worse when they know what they're doing and you know it. And then at the end of the day, you get the great job, everybody. But that same person ends up getting the majority of the credit and did the least amount of work. So I put down, I definitely don't miss having coworkers that will hog the credit. That you know literally sat there and sit around almost all day. Usually, they're not really in the time hardly ever either, right? So the other thing is getting blamed for other people's mistakes. When it will be seen you didn't do it to still get blamed, you're looking at this person like, what's wrong with you? And really quick, back to that other job that I was telling you guys about. Our job was to catch mistakes that were happening. But even though if you follow procedure, which was one of their floor people was supposed to come over, you still almost got in as much trouble as equally as them, instead of like some of the other times being told, good job that you caught that mistake. So some people can miss a mistake, they can fall asleep on the tables and nothing will happen, no write-ups, nothing. So yeah, back to the favoritism thing, right? But it's like, make up your mind. I caught it, I was supposed to. So the reaction of you're equally to blame, how? Because the job was to catch the mistakes. So it was just like, you just couldn't wait to leave. At least I couldn't. And I already talked about getting in trouble for something someone else wouldn't. And then this one, I pictured a specific person. I told you I could talk about this job for a whole walk. And I put down, when I pictured this person's face when I was in my house, I remember him very distinctively. Unwanted flirting from someone that can obviously tell that you want them to stop. And at one point, I think I had, because like he had asked me out or something like that. He was new on top of that. So of course, I had to shadow him sometimes or train him, and it was annoying. I mean, it's like, thank you for the compliment. And then the look on my face though should tell you, like, stop. Or I would just, like, no. I think by the time you asked me out, I said no, and it didn't stop. And other people will laugh. And it was like, I don't find this funny. And so, one of those people again, you have to look in your face like, what is wrong with you? I literally just flat out turned you down. Okay? No is not yes. And so, it got to the point to where it was annoying and I didn't want to have to help train this person or shadow them. But of course, I did. I wasn't the only person, but I seemed to get stuck with him quite often, and we had other new employees. So thinking back, maybe it was intentional because it was thought to be funny, but just so you know, if you're watching this video, if you did do that, I didn't find it funny because it's like he couldn't take no. He wasn't the worst person I dealt with there. That person should have been kicked out and never been allowed to come back, which they weren't. So that one went a little further. It was way worse, but having the new person there, the new guy, added to that, to this other person that was a customer. It was awful. What I like about work 24 minutes, not having coworkers, is obviously all the same things on the list, but having my own space and the peace and quiet. I would have to say, and I think I told you guys this before, that this is the most talking I do in a day. I don't get a lot of phone calls. of just how are you doing. And I will have to say, I kind of don't mind. But, yeah, so if you're wondering, well, since yesterday you told us how much control you have over your schedule, then are you able to just talk to people? Yes, I can talk to people when I'm working, but I don't. But phone calls are few far and in between. So it is very quiet in my house unless there's tapping from me typing on the keyboard, or let's say if my TV's on, or every now and then I might play music. It's gonna kind of sound awkward for me to say. I actually don't like noise. And then to say that I play music sometimes, but most of the time you could hear, what they say, pin drop or needle drop in my house or something like that, especially since the floor is all tile. So I enjoy that because those two jobs I told you guys about, it was really noisy, very, very noisy. And I would get in my car. So one of them, obviously, like working on a campus, you cannot leave until the day is over. Well, the other job that I told you guys about, where a lot of the favoritism happened and things like that. Don't want to call it harassment, but what else would you call it? That one, I could go outside on my breaks, and I did quite often. You would see me in my car with the doors locked. Sometimes I would be blasting music because usually, if I'm really angry or really happy, that's when you'll hear me playing music in my car. Other than that, it will be super quiet. And sometimes when we would have to stay over, and I'm not talking about for just a couple of hours, then we would get told, if you want to go in your car and take a nap, fine, just like set your alarm. So every now and then I would do that as well. So one of those jobs I had the capability or ability to have that relief from being inside. So now I am not just at home. You know, there's a saying that, and I don't even know what word to use, but there's a saying that your home is your sanctuary. And so I know what the word means, but if you just take the basic meaning of it, for me, it truly is. Let's do a time check. 27 minutes, 30 seconds. So if you're wondering, do I miss having coworkers? I miss certain people, even from out here. There is a really good staff out here. I don't know, of course, obviously, the new people, because I don't work here anymore, but I think the collaboration, the working together, we worked more as a team. And, you know, we were in it together, which is how it is, or should be, or how it is at every job. But sometimes you're left with not having that, I don't want to call it security, but some people are safe, job security, things like that, and others kind of aren't. And out here, if it was something where it's supposed to be more than one person doing it, it would happen. So I would have to say I did enjoy that, but overall, on the other hand, I don't miss it enough to return back. If I return back to what I used to do out here, there was a big need for it. So, and I don't mean a need for a count of employees. I mean, for us personally, as to why. And because what I do now, the pay has, and I can't stand this word, potential to be more, a lot more. But for me, it's starting off really slow. And the first thing I had to do was to take care of my health first. And myself and the person that signed me up didn't really, I won't say, I don't know how to explain it, like we didn't really fully understand like how we were signed up. So we're not just regular customers, like I said, we're brand partners, and I didn't even know there was a business side. And the other person kind of just heard it and was like, I really am not interested in that, but here we are. So both of us are giving it a shot to try the business side of it. But when I first found out, I was in so much pain that it was not a concern. And now I'm doing a lot better, even with migraines, allergies, things like that. Now I can focus. So it's a learning curve. New things, that added policies and stuff like that that I'm having to learn. And the pay can be steady. Right now, it's not. There are a lot of factors that weigh in on if and when and how you get paid. And I know you might be thinking, then how are you surviving when my husband's working as well? So I needed something where I could control my whole schedule, and I had the freedom to do that. But the pay is something that you really have to work on. You really have to build up relationships. So for me, people are not clients. They would be fellow customers, basically. And speaking from experience, it's really difficult when there might not be any answers as of yet to your medical concerns, and not knowing what to do, hearing something new, and either being nervous to try it, or you just hear it. It's almost like conversation, like, oh, so how's your son, how's your daughter? Oh, did your dog have the puppies yet? You know, it almost ends up being a part of like one of those conversations. And so it's interesting to do, but it definitely takes a lot more work. And then I do quite a bit of research. But for now, I just feel the need to go over what I'm learning so far before I try to learn anything else, especially since I'm not having any questions anymore. So I have a steady set of fellow customers and others that are not as steady. But it is a personal choice of how often you do this. For me, it's become a part of my everyday routine. I have an alarm set for when I start, and then I have an end time 12 hours later for when I end it. So I know you guys are probably like confused, but I do have other videos that talk about the company and me being a distributor for them. So you can check those out, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. Because the rest of my videos are like how to save, nail videos, credit card videos. This walk and talk is the majority of my videos. I put all of my reviews in one channel because I don't want to have to make multiple channels. So all my reviews are in one spot. And the cool thing is you can share the link to it so that people don't have to go searching all over creation for it. But, okay, we have 34 minutes, 50 seconds. But yes, I won't say like everything falls on us though. For other people that are doing the same that I do, because there are a lot of people that do it, and there is a number you can call. The company actually does have employees, and so you can call and ask questions, and if they don't know the answer, if they can't find out on a phone call, then they call you back once they find out. And then you can ask other people that are on your team. But, and maybe it's just the way that I'm doing things, but I'll say this, it's very easy to individually end up taking on everything yourself, because it's like you do have a team, but you as an individual kind of have a business in your own sense, even though it's not your company. I don't know if that makes sense. So there's a team side, and then there's goals that everyone can make, which increases bonuses and pay for everybody, or people that are at certain pay ranks and things like that. But like I said, at the end of the day, you're pretty much running a business. So I like, it's different, and I like that. I can't say whether or not I feel it's easier to have co-workers or not. But if this were like a regular job, I think for the part of it where it will mainly be you, is if you're running your own business, I like the flying solo part of it. Because not everyone's going to do things the same way you do. I think, oh no, a couple more minutes. We're at 37 minutes, we're almost done. But yeah, so let me know in the comment box below. Would you prefer to have coworkers or not? Do you have coworkers? And if not, do you have an actual office where you leave your house, or do you work from home? And kind of combining the two videos today and yesterday's, what are your likes and dislikes about working from home? Is it something you've done before, or is this the first time? And if you do have a choice to stay as a stay-at-home worker versus going back to a physical office, which one are you leaning toward and why? And then also, I usually don't say this, but if, okay, keyword if, you like my video, then like and subscribe. I always get excited to see new people. Sometimes it does show you who the subscriber is. And even if it doesn't, thank you for the support. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we should be out of time. All right, we have like a minute left. But another reason why I said that is because I can't remember when they started it, but if you say that, and I think you actually have to add like the, or a subscribe logo in and decide what you want it to look like. If you want it to make a sound, like customize it, right? Then when you say it, it's supposed to show up on the screen. So I've seen it happen, and I thought it was kind of cool. Of course, your videos are listened to, and so I thought it shows you just some of the technology behind your channel, kind of like what it takes to be able to have a platform where people can have a channel and upload videos and stuff like that. I can imagine all the work it takes. But anyway, we are out of time. We're at 40 minutes, 19 seconds, 1.55 for the distance, 166 calories. And I think we had a pretty good walk today. All right, so I'm gonna let this lower a little bit more. For some reason, I just kind of picture myself tripping just now, so I'm just gonna wait. It's almost done. All right, you guys, so that is it. Thank you for watching. I'm going to go take my quick break. Let me see. Yeah, I do, I drink almost half. Okay, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Like I said, enjoy your workout. I don't know where I was gonna get vacation from, but if you're on one, then enjoy that too. Stay safe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.